You know that feeling, right? You ask your AI assistant, maybe book me a table somewhere nice, and it gives you a great list.
Yeah, super helpful list.
But then it just stops. It expects you to go into another app, do the actual booking. It's like having this incredibly knowledgeable friend who just can't actually lift a finger to help.
The common frustration. And it really highlights where AI has been focusing so much on, just understanding us. But the real leap, that's when AI starts doing things, getting involved.
Exactly, which is what we're diving into today. There's this huge, rapid adoption happening in China around something called the Model Context Protocol, MCP.
MCP, yeah.
Now, I know it sounds maybe a bit technical, a bit jargony.
It can, yeah.
But the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. And the potential, massive.
It really tackles a core challenge, doesn't it? That gap between understanding what you want and actually, acting on it. MCP is basically trying to be a standard way for AI assistants, and we're increasingly calling them AI agents now to connect up with all the different apps and services we use.
Like a translator.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a set of rules so they all speak the same action language.
Yeah.
Anthropic, they first floated this idea back in November, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, they pictured it as a way for AI to get into the systems where data lives. Your databases, your work tools, all that stuff.
And the beauty of it is that standardization. It's like, remember all those different phone chargers?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
The drawer full of mystery cables.
Right, and then USB-C comes along. Our group actually used that exact analogy they called MCP, a USB-C port for AI applications.
That's a good one. It clicks.
So instead of just asking your AI about something, it can take that info and do something. Pay a bill, schedule a meeting, get directions. All just by you talking to it naturally. And what's really striking is how fast and how big the major Chinese tech companies are going on this.
Which brings us to the core questions, really. Why MCP? Why is it taking off now? And, why is China leading this early charge?
So, yeah, our mission today is basically to unpack all that. Figure out why this MCP adoption is so significant, why it might be like a really key moment for AI actually becoming useful.
Practical AI.
Practical AI, exactly. And what it means for you listening right now, because let's face it, we all want AI to be less of a gimmick and more of a genuine time-saving helper, right?
Absolutely. Less chat, more action.
Okay, so let's dig into that core shift first. From chatbots, the things we kind of know, to these AI agents, what's the real difference? Because MCP seems to be the key unlocking that door.
It really is. Think about chatbots and the big language models like GPT-4 or Gemini. They're amazing communicators, right? They understand language, generate text that sounds human. But fundamentally, they react. You prompt them, they respond. AI agents, though, they're built differently. They're designed to be, proactive.
Proactive how?
They can kick off actions themselves. They can talk to other systems, get feedback like, did that payment go through? And then use that feedback to decide what to do next. It's a loop.
Okay. So if a chatbot is like that super smart librarian who finds you any book, an AI agent is more like a personal assistant who finds the book, reads the relevant chapter, and then, drafts the email summarizing it for you.
That's a great analogy, actually. It captures that doing part. And there's a quote from Red Xiaohong. He's the CEO of Butterfly Effect. He said, an AI agent is more like a human being than a chatbot.
Interesting. Why?
Because, he explained, they interact with the environment, collect feedback, and use the feedback as a new prompt. It's that back and forth, that learning from interaction, that's the big step up.
And this is where MCP becomes absolutely critical, right? Because these agents aren't just working inside one app. MCP is the thing that lets them talk to lots of different services.
Precisely. That's the whole point. A common language, a common interface. So you could genuinely have an agent notice your flight is delayed. And without you even asking, it could check other flights, rebook you, maybe even tell your taxi app about the new arrival time, all happening across different platforms.
Wow. Okay, that's starting to sound like the science fiction promises.
Yeah, it's moving that way. This kind of standardized connection really opens the path towards more autonomous systems handling complex stuff with less direct input from us. And the moves we're seeing from China's tech giants, they clearly show they believe this is where things are headed.
Definitely. The details we've seen are pretty concrete. Let's talk about Ant Group first. They're the Alipay people, the fintech giant.
Right.
They've launched what they call an MCP server for payment services. What does that actually let people do?
Well, think about it practically. It makes everyday money stuff potentially much easier. This MCP server acts like a translator between the AI agent's request, spoken in natural language.
Pay my electricity bill.
Exactly. And the specific technical commands that Alibaba's system needs to actually make that payment happen, it bridges that gap. They mention things like checking payment status or even starting a refund just by, having a conversation with your agent.
That's a big deal for convenience. And it's not just Alipay, is it? Their development platform, T-Box. It supports a whole bunch of MCP services now.
Yeah, over 30, apparently, which is quite something. It includes their own stuff like Alipay and their mapping service, AMAP, but also things like Google MCP and even an Amazon Web Services tool for pulling information.
So they're building an ecosystem, not just focusing inwards.
It really shows the power of making things work together, right? Interoperability. By supporting all these different MCP services, they're basically telling developers, hey, build agents that can do lots of different things using tools from lots of different providers.
Okay, and then there's Alibaba Cloud. They've taken a slightly different tack with a marketplace.
On their Model Scope platform. It's like an app store, but for AI agents.
An app store for AI agents.
Yeah, basically a place where developers can find pre-built MCP connections. They're calling them services that their agents can use. They say they have over 1,000 already.
1,000, wow. What kind of things?
All sorts. Mapping tools, office software connectors, online storage, even links to various Google services again. It's designed to make it way faster for developers to build sophisticated agents because they don't have to create every single connection from scratch.
That could really speed things up. Find the tools you need, plug them in.
That's the idea.
Right.
Lower the barrier to entry for building these more capable agents.
And Baidu's in on this too, the search giant.
They are. They haven't detailed maybe as many specific services yet, but they've come out strongly in support of MCP. They've said it'll foster, and I'm quoting loosely here, abundant use cases for AI applications. Their backing definitely adds weight.
It really does. When you see Ant Group in fintech, Alibaba in cloud, Baidu in search, all pushing the same standard.
Yeah, it tells you something. It shows they see AI agents enabled by this kind of standard as strategically vital. It's not just a side project. It feels like a core part of their future AI plans.
Okay, so China's tech leaders are clearly betting big on MCP. Let's zoom out again. Why is this standardization, this USB-C for AI, so important for where AI is going generally? And maybe more to the point, why should you, listening at home, really care about this?
Well, that standardization piece is just fundamental. Think back to Ant Group's USB-C comparison. Without it, every AI agent is kind of stuck talking only to its own little world, its own app or service.
Right, isolated.
Exactly. It can't easily coordinate tasks across the different tools we actually use every day. MCP provides that common ground, that shared language, so they can work together.
And that unlocks new possibilities.
Huge possibilities.
Yeah.
Developers can start building AI services that were just too complex or impossible before because the different parts couldn't talk to each other. Imagine an agent that pulls data from your health tracker,
Okay.
cross-references it with, say, local air quality data from a weather service,
Yeah.
and then proactively adjusts your smart home thermostat or even suggests tweaks to your diet based on that combined info.
That's pulling from multiple completely separate sources.
Precisely. And acting on it. That kind of complex multi-system task becomes feasible with a standard like MCP.
And we're seeing early versions of this already. You mentioned Butterfly Effect's Manus's agent earlier.
Yeah, Manus is a good example they highlighted. It's designed specifically to tackle tasks autonomously. It figures out a plan, breaks it down into smaller steps, and then uses the available tools, presumably connected via something like MCP, to execute those steps.
So it's like it can think strategically about how to get something done using different apps.
That's the idea. It's a glimpse of that more proactive assistant we were talking about, one that doesn't just wait for instructions but figures things out.
Okay, that sounds genuinely useful, a step beyond just fetching information.
It really is. It enables these much richer, more integrated experiences. Forget just booking the flight. Think about an agent managing the whole trip. Flights, hotel, ground transport, maybe suggesting restaurants near your hotel based on reviews, and if the flight gets canceled. It handles the rebooking and adjusts everything else automatically.
That would actually save a lot of hassle, a lot of mental load.
That's the core promise for you, the user. AI that genuinely takes tasks off your plate, anticipates needs, and makes everything feel smoother, less fragmented. It's about giving you back time and, frankly, headspace.
Right. But it can't all be smooth sailing. With any big tech shift like this, there must be bumps in the road. What are some of the challenges or, things to watch out for with this MCP push in China?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely not without hurdles. One major one is, well, standards wars.
Ah, like Betamax versus VHS?
Exactly like that, potentially. China's pushing MCP hard domestically, but will it become the global standard?
Hmm.
What if OpenAI or Google or Microsoft decides to back a different horse, a different protocol?
Then we could end up with fragmentation again, defeating the purpose.
Precisely. You might have agents that work great within one ecosystem but can't talk to services in another. So international adoption and agreement is a big question mark.
Okay, what else?
Regulation. That's going to be huge. As these agents get more powerful, more autonomous, especially when they're doing things like making payments or handling sensitive personal data,
Governments are going to step in.
you bet they will.
Mm.
Regulatory scrutiny is bound to increase. How China's own AI regulations evolve and how other countries react will massively shape how far and how fast agents can develop these capabilities.
And surely security and privacy are massive concerns here. If an agent can access my bank, my calendar, my health app,
They have to be top priority.
Hmm.
Connecting all these systems inevitably creates new potential weak points, new vulnerabilities, building really robust security, ensuring data privacy is handled correctly across all these interconnected services. That's absolutely essential. Without user trust, this whole thing stalls.
people just won't enable those connections if they don't feel safe,
Exactly. And then there's just the sheer technical difficulty of it all.
even with a standard.
Even with a standard like MCP. Getting all these incredibly diverse systems, different companies, different technologies, different data formats, different security setups, to actually talk to each other reliably and seamlessly, that's a complex engineering challenge. MCP provides the blueprint, but building the actual bridges is hard work.
Okay, so there are definitely significant challenges: standards, competition, regulation, security, the technical integration itself. Taking all that into account, what's your overall take on what this MCP focus means for China's AI future?
Look, I think it's a really clear strategic bet. They're signaling that they see AI agents, connected via standards, as the next major phase of AI development. If they manage to navigate those challenges we just talked about.
Especially the security and regulatory ones.
Right. And if they foster genuine adoption, this focus on MCP could seriously accelerate how quickly AI gets baked into everyday life over there, making it practical, useful, much faster.
So it could mean people in China start experiencing this more proactive, integrated AI much sooner than perhaps people elsewhere, where maybe standardization debates take longer.
That's certainly possible. It could lead to a transformation in how users interact with digital services, making AI feel less like a separate tool and more like an underlying capability that just makes everything work better.
And looping back to what Red Zhao said about agents learning from interaction.
Yeah, that's key. That capability, powered by the kind of connectivity MCP enables, is a big step towards maybe more generalized assistance down the line. China's push on the standard could put them right at the forefront of turning that potential into, real-world products and services.
Okay, so let's quickly summarize our deep dive then. China's tech giants Ant Group, Alibaba Cloud, Baidu, are moving fast to adopt the Model Context Protocol, MCP. This isn't just technical plumbing, it's about enabling AI to evolve from chatbots into proactive AI agents.
Agents that can do things.
Exactly. Agents that can interact with multiple apps and services, make payments, book things, manage tasks, all based on natural conversation. The potential for you is more convenience, more efficiency, a more joined-up digital life.
That's the promise. But as we discussed, there are real hurdles. Competing standards globally, the need for smart regulation, massive security and privacy considerations, and just the tough job of making it all work technically.
Definitely challenges to overcome. But the direction of travel seems clear towards AI that's more helpful, more autonomous.
Undeniably.
Which leads us to our final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about this potential AI agents managing more and more of your digital tasks, thanks to things like MCP, what parts of your daily digital life would you most want an agent to take over? What tasks would you happily hand off?
And on the flip side, what gives you pause? What are your biggest concerns about giving an AI that level of access, that control over your information and your actions online?
Yeah, something to chew on. It's a fascinating space, changing incredibly quickly, and the implications for all of us are pretty profound.